Okay, good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for coming to my session. I've just heard from my colleague that I'm the most popular, so yay us! All right. Not that we have a competitiveness in our team, not at all, not at all. Guys, for anyone that hasn't scanned, please do. It's worth 50, 100, 150, jury's out, but there's a voucher. So if you haven't scanned, please do that. No, if you've just done it once, should be fine, yeah. Although maybe you could just keep trying and who knows, and we can catch up later. You never know. All right, guys, welcome to this morning's sessions. My name is Jenna O'Donovan, and I will be talking to you about interview strategies. Were any of you in Erica's session beforehand on the resumes, job applications? Okay, awesome. This, I guess, is the next one in the process, following on from that. So I might tic-tac a little bit on some things that she said. And funnily enough, her and I have quite similar experiences. So I can stand here and she's not in the room. She's a little bit older than me, so I've got 22 years experience to her 25. I've been at Macquarie for nearly 4 years now, and I really love this job. It enables me to take the recruitment, HR, training and development and career coaching knowledge that I've developed over those 22 years and give it back to you guys, okay? And help you achieve your career success that you so readily deserve. Now, what we're going to talk about today is interviews. Now, when I say that word, how does it make you feel? Excited, a little bit sad, a little bit nervous? A bit like a cold morning, isn't it? You're like, help me, I want to go into the fetal position, I don't like them. Okay, what I would love for you to come out of this session today is with some strategies, okay, to help you understand what interviews are all about and how to ace them. So what we're going to talk about is, what is the basis of an interview? Why do you think people interview candidates for their jobs? Well, how else are they going to pick them? Okay, if you were just getting picked on your resume alone, yes, they might find out about your technical competencies and some experience that you've had, but you'd really miss out about that cultural fit, about that team. And it's so great to see. I love being involved in these conferences. You see a number of people come in and they don't know anyone when they come to these. Some people come in with a buddy or in a group, and that's great. But a lot of people were brave enough, and shout out to those of you that were brave enough to come to this on your own. Okay, but during the course of the day, we see people start to build rapport and connect. And that's about finding your people, yeah? And networking. And you'll be able to do heaps more of that during the rest of the day and at the lunch. But that's what I want you to think about an interview as. It's an opportunity to find out about the company, find out about the role, sell yourself to them of how you can do it, but please always make sure there's rapport there. There's a connection. The company has the same values as you, okay, that this is the right fit for you as well. Now, the actual purpose of an interview, I guess, is to find out, can you do all this stuff? Okay, so that's why they ask you questions. Now, that's what makes us feel nervous, okay? If I walked up and I said, what did you have for breakfast today?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. So you're waiting for lunch at midday? Yeah.
Not really. I
Only had a coffee. Okay, no problem. Now, that wasn't too hard a question, was it?
It was.
Really? Okay. All right.
Why did you were thinking that my breakfast was going to be a good breakfast?
Yeah, true. Whereas if I said to you, can you recite Pythagoras' theorem for me? Yeah, Pythagoras' theorem, a maths thing. Yeah, no, see, he's got nothing. Now, we know each other, so I know I could pick on him today, okay? It's all good. All right, and that's what I think happens in interviews. We don't know what to expect. You're feeling a little bit nervous, maybe you've got a new suit on or some new shoes that are a bit tight, you've parked the car somewhere, or you've just got there by the skin of your teeth with the timing of Sydney transport, thank you so much, and then they're asking you questions and you're not prepared, okay? That's what makes us nervous. But in Australia, generally, this is how an interview rolls, okay? So whether it's face-to-face, which we hear a lot of employers are going back to, and if you have the option for a Zoom or a face-to-face interview, please always go for the face-to-face. So much easier to build rapport with body language and a smile, okay? You can do that on Zoom, but it's harder, yeah? So if you have the opportunity, always go to face-to-face. Now, normally the interview will sort of be broken into 3 or 4 sections. The first one is the open questions, and this is purely to get you talking. So it'll be like, can you tell me a bit about yourself and why you've applied for the role? You just go, oh, that's easy. Oh. Now what do I say? I read about your company. I have the skills. Ooh, you haven't made a very good impression, have you? Okay, so it's really something you need to practice. But if you've got to the interview stage, they liked your skills and experience. Okay, they want to find out more about you. So it's just about being able to articulate that, and practice is what makes that happen. The next type of questions that they'll ask you are what we call behavioural questions. Does anyone here study psychology? Yeah, okay. And what do we know about behaviours? That your past behaviours are indicative of your future behaviour, isn't it? We tend to repeat behaviour, okay? And that's the reason they ask you that. So those questions sound something like, can you tell me about a time when you had to provide excellent customer service? Okay? Now, as Erica mentioned, we sort of swap roles, and I do a bit of work for MQSE as well. And not all that long ago, I was helping recruit for Service Connect. You guys all know Service Connect, down at Wally's Walk. And we were recruiting for a permanent role there. So we had a mix of current internal staff and external people applying. And of course, we had to ask them all the same questions, because that's the other trick with interviewing, all right? There's a top tip. If you know someone's gone for the job before you, ask them what questions they were asked, yeah? Have a look on Great Connection, have a look on Whirlpool, find out what questions are being asked so you can prepare. Anyway, back to my story. We were asking these people, can you tell me about a time when you provided excellent customer service? So many people said to me, yes, I do that all the time. No, yeah, okay, nice. How do I mark you on that? I give you a 1, and you smiled, I give you a 2, okay? Whereas the people who we were more interested in hiring because we believed they had the skills and experience told us a story. Yes, I always provide excellent customer service. I'd like to tell you about yesterday when I was working with a student who not only lost their campus card, they were logged out of their email. So what I did was okay? Much easier for me to mark as a recruiter, and I'm seeing their skills and experience, how it worked for the job that I need them to do. Now, as graduates or new starters to the workplace, you may also be asked situational questions. And these are a bit hypothetical. So it's, you know, if you're in this role and this was to happen, how would you react? What would you do? But again, you can use your past behavioural experiences. Oh, I had a situation similar to this and I did that. Okay? So they're not trying to trick you. I know you all think recruiters are meanies and baddies, but some of you met Erica and you're meeting me, and you met Rebecca and Sina and Sadia. They're lovely. We're not here to hurt, promise. We want to help you get the job. But you've got to give us the right information to push through. Then probably after, you know, most interviews in Australia go for about 25, 30 minutes. I know it feels like a lifetime when you're in it, but it's actually only 25, 30 minutes. And then they'll come to the closing questions. And this is where, if you've done well, they want to know more about you. What are your future career aspirations? Are you interested in doing some further study? What more do you want to know about our company? Okay, this is an opportunity for you to ask them questions. Please always have 1 or 2 questions to ask them. Okay, so many times I've recruited fantastic candidates. I'm thinking they're a good match for the job. And I'll be like, do you have any questions for me? And they'll be like, nah. I'm like, really? Not even one? Not even, how did this role become available? You know, if I was successful in this role, what would my key successes be in the first 3 months? Okay? What are the key qualities you're looking for in someone to take on this role? You guys can come up with these. Google it. Who was in the session before in here? ChatGPT. What questions do I ask at the end of an interview? It's not hard. Have a couple ready. Really does make that impression that you've done your research, and if you can link it back to industry is fantastic as well. Okay. Now, thinking about as a recruiter, where do I get these questions from? Do I just ChatGPT them? Okay, I might now. But where would I normally get them from? Where am I going to make up questions from for a job? From the job description, okay? So when an organisation has a vacancy, they have to apply, you know, for budgetary reasons and all this sort of riffraff to get that headcount approved, and they have to have wrote a job description. And from that job description, that's where you get your selection criteria for the job ad, yeah? So for those of you that are in Erica's section, that's why if you've done a good enough job of tailoring your application, it's now easy for you, okay? Go back and have a look at the job ad. Please tell me every time you apply for a job you take a picture of it, because they disappear like that off the internet. So set up a file. I'm applying for a job at Macquarie Service Connect. Here's a copy of the job ad. Here's a resume. Here's a cover letter I submitted. Now when you're invited for interview, you just go back to that bit. It's all there, easy to go. Okay? The questions will 99% of the time come from the selection criteria. Okay, so if you met that in the job, in the applications, we've just got to embellish that a little bit more, yeah? We've got to put a bit more about your experiences, the responsibilities that you had, the achievements that you've got. All right. Now, just one other thing I'd like to mention, as we're going through the interview process, you need to be aware that it's quite okay to ask for adjustments, okay? So for someone who's maybe neurodiverse, they may require the questions a little bit in advance, or they may ask if they can bring notes to them. And employers in Australia are very open to this. In fact, it's actually legislation, okay, that if someone asks for reasonable adjustments in the interview process, that needs to be given to them. All right, so if you have some more questions or queries about that, you can come and see us at Learning Connect, or if you just Google it. You know, especially the New South Wales government. I was working with a student recently who was going for a job at NDIS. Okay, and she had a condition, can I say, and it meant that she asked if she could have the questions in advance. Sure, not a problem. She was given them half an hour in advance and was allowed to take notes into the interview. Okay, she was a fabulous candidate. She did a great interview. She got the job. Okay, had she not have asked for those special conditions, it would have been a lot tougher for her. She probably wouldn't have interviewed as well. So that just relieved a lot of her anxiety and meant that the company, the organisation, the recruiters could really see what she had to offer. All right, now I'm talking about all these experiences, but where do you get this stuff from? Okay, where do we draw on our answers? Now we're going to play a little game. What do you think the people up here in the top corner are doing? What sort of job is that? Serving, customer service, retail? Perfect. The next one, what do you think he's doing? Oh, really? He's a volunteer, you think? Okay. And the one on the end? Restaurant, hospitality. Okay. Who here has worked in retail? Who here has been a volunteer? Anyone done any hospitality? Okay, I'm seeing lots of hands. This is awesome. All right, bottom row. What do you think they're doing there? Charity work. Good. I was worried people wouldn't get that one. Awesome. All right. And the next one in the middle on the bottom? Yeah, so that was like an internship, professional work. Has anyone here actually undertaken an internship or a PACE? Okay, great. So as Erica said, you can definitely talk about that as well. And then the final one is sport. Okay? For those of you who've been in Australia for a little while, what do Aussies like to talk about? Sport. Now, I'm not saying you must have this, but if, for example, you're lacking on the top row, but you've been involved in a team sport, you've got teamwork, communication, motivation, working towards a common goal. Okay? I could do that for each of those for you, but I guess that's what I'm trying to show you is all the experiences that you've had. Please draw on those to meet that selection criteria. Alrighty. Now, fingers crossed the video is going to work. It's always a stress.
What is a behavioural interview? Behavioural interviews are used by organisations for both selection and development purposes. Like any other interviews and assessments, it's important that you are adequately prepared for behavioural interview questions. What are behavioural interview questions? Behavioural interview questions ask you to provide examples of how you have handled certain work situations in the past. What the interviewer is really looking for is evidence of your behaviours, competencies and capabilities in the workplace. A typical question might go something like this. Give me an example of when you had to deliver a project within very tight timeframes. Here, the interviewer is looking for evidence of your ability to plan, organise and prioritise. Rather than asking, how would you handle this situation, they are asking, how have you handled that situation? This way, the interviewer can gain factual information about what you actually did. To answer behavioural questions, we recommend the CAR or STAR method. Let's go through an example using the CAR method. Context: the situation or challenge faced. Sales had steadily declined for a year. When I became sales manager, my challenge was to manage my team effectively to grow sales. Action: the actions you took to complete the task or resolve the situation. Over a 6-month period, I set sales targets, introduced weekly sales meetings and implemented training. Result: the outcome of your action and/or what you achieved. Provide facts and figures if you can. We exceeded our sales targets by 25% in the first quarter. To prepare for a behavioural interview, think about the skills, knowledge and attributes that might be required for the role. These things can often be found in a relevant role profile or position description. Once you have a list of what skill sets you think the interviewer is looking for, think of past work situations where you have demonstrated them. Here are some more helpful tips for acing a behavioural interview. Spend time thinking about what questions you are likely to be asked and what examples you could give in response. Give actual examples rather than saying what you could or would have done. Rather than we, use I statements. The interviewer wants to know what actions you took. Use facts and figures when you talk about results as much as you can. Practice some mock interview questions with a friend, colleague or career coach so you can answer confidently. Good luck!
Thank you to our friends at Hudson that sponsored that video. Very nice recruitment company. All right, so key thing, STAR technique. Thank you for taking a picture. That reminded me to say, take a picture. Okay, if there's only one thing you take from my session today, let it be this. Okay, this is how we answer a behavioural interview question. Okay? And in terms of what you need to be aware of is you probably want to aim for somewhere between 2 to 3 minutes to answer the question. So you want to set the scene and the task. So, you know, I was working at Domino's, it was a busy Friday night, okay? What was the action? A customer came in to pick up their order, they opened up the pizza, we'd given them 2 meat lovers instead of 1 meat lovers, 1 ham and pineapple. What are we going to do? I'm in charge, I'm the team leader that night. What's the company policy? Apologise to the customer, offer them a refund, offer them a replacement, offer them, I don't know, the free churros. Okay, what did you do? How did you make that better? Okay, and then what was the result? The customer was very happy. They were quite happy to wait for us to cook them fresh pizzas, and I gave them a churros, and as they left, they thanked me very much for looking after them. Okay, it's a story, it's a situation. That's what we want to hear about. So let's have a look at something a little bit more detailed. Have a read of this. So the question is, can you tell me about a time when you had to work in a team to achieve a common goal? Answer 1 or answer 2? Can you see the S in that? The situation. So you're doing a PACE unit, okay? The task, we were working with a company to do a new logo design. What was the action? We had to get everyone together. Who's had this problem when you worked in a group? People aren't available, everyone's busy, no one's pulling their weight, yeah? But what did you do? When you're in an interview, it's not the time to whinge about what people didn't do for you, it's what you did to resolve it. Okay, I suggested we have a WhatsApp group. I suggested we have weekly Zoom meetings. Let's keep everyone on track. Okay, and then a lot of students forget this bit, the result, the outcome. Please let us know that as well. So we were able to deliver on time. The company really liked what we did. In fact, they're going to take it to the next stage, and we got a distinction. Yay! Okay, let's celebrate that. That's the sort of person I want on my team. Not, yeah, I do it all the time at Macca's. Okay, these are professional jobs that you're going for now, okay? Really need to take it to that next level. If you want to take it to the next level while we're on that, just going to jump back here, is you can add an L on that. I don't know how I say star L, but think about the learning. And this can be really powerful if the result wasn't so good. Okay, if the result wasn't what you wanted, you can flip that around in an interview. The result wasn't what we wanted. What I learnt from that was to be more organised, to keep the team on track, to plan my time better, to do some more research. Okay, I'm sitting there as a recruiter. You're now showing me your willingness to learn and improve. That's someone I want on my team. Yeah? Cool. All right, your turn. Enough from me. Most of you are sitting near people. This exercise sort of works better in twos, so if you just want to have a bit of a shuffle around, what I'd like you to do is in your mind, on your phones, I don't know, does anyone carry notepad and paper anymore? Or some people do. Whatever works for you. Take a minute or two and think of an answer to either of those questions, and then I'd like to practice with your neighbour, and then we'll swap over. Yeah? Any questions on that? All right, I'll give you about 4 minutes to do that. Thank you. All right, if you haven't swapped over yet now, can I just ask you to swap over? It's okay if you didn't finish the whole answer. I just wanted the process. So if you can swap over and let the other person have a chance, please. All right, guys, I might just have to stop you there. So I'm just conscious of time. I'd hate to run over time and hate you miss the next session. But how was that? On a scale of 5. Was it really bad? It was only a 1. We're getting there. 2, 3, 4. How was a 5? Come on. Who was a 5? Yeah. All right. Because you felt a little bit prepared? Yeah, a little little bit? Okay, awesome. Now, moving on, is sometimes in an interview, as much as I would like to tell you what the questions are going to be, they will throw a random one at you, okay? So I just think it's important to have a think about, you know, what happens when they ask you a question that you can't answer, or if you haven't had that experience, or if they ask you if you've got Python, you know Python, but you know SQL. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you do? Or what if you don't understand the question? Okay, let's start from the bottom and go up. If you don't understand the question, please ask them to repeat it, okay? Or ask them to rephrase it. Sometimes interviewers write questions really quickly and we don't have a chance to read them and they make no sense. We're only human. But maybe you can say, oh, would you mind just repeating that for me or saying it another way? That's okay. I would much rather someone ask me that than totally misanswer the question. You know, if I say to them, can you tell me if you know what computer packages you have had exposure to? And they go, oh, last time I was in the sun, I got burnt because I didn't have enough sunblock. What? Okay, please ask me. Did you have a question? No? Okay. And the other thing is, here's a couple of strategies. It's quite okay to stall for time, all right? Some of us like to think before we speak. I, on the other hand, often go blah, 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 and wish I hadn't, okay? That's something I'm working on. But it's quite okay to stall for time. This could be your best friend. They ask you a question. Thank you for asking me that question. I'd like to tell you about a time, all right? Just gives you a couple of seconds thinking, all right? Or quite okay to say, that's a great question. Can I just have a minute to think about it? All right, at least you engaged with me. I know you're thinking, okay? And it's important to build that rapport still, okay? Whereas if you just stare, okay, it's really hard, really hard to know what's happening. And the other thing, if you haven't quite had the experience, I'll come to you in just a minute, if you haven't quite had the experience, is think about how something else can cover for you. You know, if they're asking you about a technology, a program, a system, no, I don't have that experience, but maybe rather than no, I don't have that experience. In my last job, there were some new systems I had to learn quite quickly when I first started. I'm more than happy to do the training, put in the extra time, watch a YouTube video. Okay, that's quite okay. Yeah. Ideally, but you probably wouldn't need a minute. Like if we sat here for a minute, it's a really long time. You probably only need a few seconds, okay? When we were putting this presentation together, someone suggested to me, why don't you say, oh, can I answer that question later? For me, that doesn't work. If you think that's a strategy that works for you, fantastic. But for me, I know I'd be trying to answer that question while they're asking me a new one. I'd have trouble pivoting that quickly. Okay, but I find most people say, oh, can you just give me a minute to think about it? They actually only need a couple of seconds, yeah? And you know when we want to think, where do we look when we want to think? When we want to trigger a memory, we look up, okay? So you mightn't do the whole, but you might just roll your eyes up. Okay, I need a memory. Yep. Okay, that's how we access our memories. So that can be a good strategy to do. So you did such a good job on practicing those last questions for me. I thought we might just have a quick practice on these tricky questions. Now, sometimes these can be fun and quirky. Like if you're given $1 million, what are you going to do with it? What are they looking for there? Planning. I actually think they're just looking for maybe a little bit about you.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. How you manage resources, yeah. Here would be my tip. If you were going to an NGO, like a not-for-profit, and you offered $1 million, we probably don't talk about the fancy cars and the big holidays first. Maybe we give some first away, all right? You know, do you have any experience developing business metrics? Say what? Who or what? Okay. Could I ask you to rephrase that question for me? Can you give me an example around where I would use that? Okay. Or sometimes, you know, this is hard. We don't want to show our faults. We don't want to show our weaknesses in an interview. You know, can you tell me about a time when you did not meet a client's expectation? What happened? How did you attempt to rectify the situation? Oh, it didn't go good. They left. No more client. Okay, so what could we do there? We could go back to the STAR approach and think about the learning, the reflection. Unfortunately, I did have a situation like that once. What I've learnt now is, you know, really understand the client's expectation, get everything in writing. Okay? All right, so why don't we spend a couple of minutes with our neighbours answering one of those? Yeah. All right, if you haven't yet, can you swap over with your partner so that who was the interviewer is now the interviewee roundabout? Alrighty, I really hate interrupting when I hear such good conversation, but I'm just conscious of what we need to just finish getting through here today. So thank you for that. And maybe while we're having the networking lunch, I'll come around and find out how you're spending your $1 million. That would be exciting. Okay, so I guess just to start summarising up for the session, if you said to me, Jen, what are the 3 questions I need to be ready to answer? Or make that 4, sorry. Jen, what are the 4 questions I need to be ready to answer? It's got to be that opening one. You know, tell me about yourself and why you're interested in this role. You know, when you first meet someone, it's that first impressions, it's 5-6 seconds. Okay, obviously the whole interview counts, but that first impression you make is important. So if you can nail that, it'll make you feel better. You relax a little bit, you know, you feel the shoulders drop down from the ears. Whew, we can breathe again. And you can go through. But it also does make a really good impression with the employer. So feel free to practice that one. You know, I'm particularly interested in this job because I met a representative from your company at the Macquarie Jobs Happy Hour. Okay, make a connection with them. Now, this is always a hard one, and I find a lot of people struggle. You know, why are you the best candidate for the role? A lot of people get a little bit shy. Don't be shy in an interview. Okay, this is when you need to be your own marketer. Okay, you need to sort of pull the shoulders back, take a deep breath. I'm the best candidate for this interview because of A, B, C. Okay, don't give them all the way to Z. I know you've got it, but just A, B, C should be enough. And then do you have any questions for us? As I mentioned, this is critical. This literally has made and broken, that sounds mean, doesn't it? Has meant whether or not I've progressed people to the next level. Okay? So show you've done your research. Now, another one that's particularly important for you guys is about the visa. And for those of you that were at Erica's section, as she said, let's talk about it. It's not an elephant in the room, okay? The problem is a lot of recruiters still don't understand the process. So please be educated yourself and be prepared to educate them. You know, when I graduate from Macquarie, I'll be eligible for the 3-year unrestricted work visa. That means you don't have to sponsor me. Hello, happy days. You're back in the game, okay? So just be educated on that and be prepared to talk about it. All right, my top tips. Take a picture. All right, engage with the interviewer. Try and build some rapport with them, okay? I'm not sure in Australia at the moment where we are with handshakes or fist pumps or touching the foot or whatever. Go with their lead, please, okay? Eye contact in Australia is really important as well, okay? We don't want to stare people down and make them uncomfortable, but we do look at people when we're addressing them, talking to them, answering a question. Be authentic and genuine. As I mentioned before, I want this to be the right job for you as well. Okay, so the more you let them know about you, they'll open up a little bit. We'll get that values alignment. If ever you come to any of our career planning session, we talk about your VIPs, your values, your interests, your personality and your skills. If we can intersect that and you get a job out of it, happy days. All right, that's where you found your passion. Okay, that's what I want for you guys. Do your research. Be prepared. Research the company, the role. Find out the name of the interviewers. They've read your resume. Have a look at their profile on LinkedIn. I wouldn't go so far as maybe their Instagram or their TikTok. That's a bit creepy. But LinkedIn, absolutely. Okay? Or depending on the sector that you're going for, you know, if you're going in academia, what papers have they published? Okay? Try and get a connection with them. I know this sounds silly, but try and relax. What's the best way we can relax? Water? But not too much.
In my last job interview, they said, do you have any questions before we begin the interview? And my question was, can you have a glass of water?
Yep.
He said, oh, interesting question. I will get that right for you. And he got 2 glasses of water because the person was also nervous too.
See? It works. And someone over here, did I hear breathing? Yeah. So we don't go, okay, that's a little bit full on, but we can definitely do I've been trying this technique myself. It's called breathe, hold, exhale, okay? And I think you're supposed to do 7, 7, 8 or something. In that situation, yeah, that's too much for me, it's too hard. So I'd probably go 1, 2, 3, hold 2, 3, out 2, 3. That doesn't look too weird, like I'm doing something too weird. That just calms your body down, stops that fight or flight response. You're only in an interview, you're not fighting a world war, okay? Whew, calm that body down, then you can relax. You smile, tell a story, all right? And as I said, use those stories when you're answering those behavioural questions. As an interviewer, when I've had to do 8 or 10 interviews a day, let me tell you, the person who told me about, I give good customer service. Customers always come first. The customer's always right, see ya. The one who tells me about what they actually did to help their customer, trying to fit their child with a pair of shoes, and the child was neurodiverse and wouldn't sit still. They're the ones that resonate with me. They're the ones I remember. It's who I want to hire on my team. Alrighty, now, before we head off, we're going to take a breath. And I want you to reflect from the activities we did today. What did you learn? What are you doing that's good and you want to improve upon? And what are some things you want to change? So we're literally going to have that 1 minute of silence for you to have that reflection. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. There's a heap of resources available to you for a whole nother year now that you've graduated. If you haven't had a squizzy at IMQ Career Zone, please do. We have this fabulous tool called Interview 360. It will record you doing an interview. It will give you feedback. Tells me I use my hands too much. Tells Erica she needs to smile more. Okay, gets down to the nitty-gritty, all right? But it's really powerful. You can put it like a job description in your resume. We'll do that. Come and see us as the careers coaches. Book a mock interview with us. Let us know the job that you've applied for. Send us a job out in your resume. We'll help you with that. Find a friend. Practice in front of a mirror. Film yourself, okay? It's the only way to improve, isn't it? We've got to practice and reflect and learn. All right, I think you've seen these in all the sessions. These are the jobs that are currently open to international students through MQSE, so please connect with them, and if there's anything there that appeals to you, apply for them. Stay in touch with us. One little QR code. You can access our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, IMQ Career Zone, Employability Connect. We're going to be everywhere. All right, and if that's not enough, you can come down and hang out with us at Learning Connect. As Erica said, we're not the fancy desks, we're the ones to the left. And also, we have put together a resource booklet. We understand you were only able to pick 2 sprint sessions to come to today, but we've done like a one-pager from each of the 6 sessions that you can access from there. Guys, thanks so much for coming along today. I've had a fabulous time with you. I just ask you to make your way back to the, where are we going? 29 Wally's Walk Theatre 1 for the next session. Thank you.